What a disaster. There's just no other way to describe it. That meeting yesterday was an absolute disaster for Captain Doofus, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. It is abundantly clear to me that Vlad received his indoctrination from Woke U. After watching that disaster unfold yesterday, I looked into his educational background. Looks like Vlad received his bachelor's from Woke U in the plight of the ultimate victim. Now, as is the case with all Woke U graduate students, he took the required graduate level courses to receive his master's in baiting. As you guys know, all graduate level students at Woke U, they are required to be master baiters. There is no amount of swiping on Grindr that's going to fix those lonely Friday nights. Woke U wants their students to be self-reliant, so all students are trained to take care of themselves. All those years studying at Woke U, and Vlad failed to read the one book that could have prepared him for yesterday. Hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on indoctrination, and all he had to do was spend $20. He could have bought The Art of the Deal. It was abundantly clear yesterday that Vlad Zelenskyy, he has no idea how to negotiate. While watching that disaster unfold yesterday, it reminded me of the dump divers in the WNBA dump. For years, dump divers have been begging for a raise. They are tired of working 2 or 3 jobs. They are tired of playing pretend basketball in the summer and working the drive-thru at Burger Queen in the winter. For years, WNBA players have demanded an increase to their minimum wage. This is outrageous! We are elite athletes! Our salary should reflect our amazing athleticism! Of course, if WNBA players were paid what they were actually worth, if WNBA players were being paid based off of the profit they generated, at minimum, they would be playing pretend basketball for free. If the WNBA operated like an actual business, players would be receiving an invoice every 2 weeks instead of a paycheck. Earlier this week, we talked about one of the many unknowns in the WNBA, Natasha Cloud. She was demanding an increase in her minimum wage. Key word, demanding. Just like Vlad Zelenskyy yesterday, the Cloud, she was not asking for more money, she was demanding it. But just like her good friend Vlad, WNBA players are missing the one thing that you need when you're making demands. They're missing the one thing you need when you're entering negotiations. Leverage. Obviously, dump divers have no leverage because they are heavily subsidized by the NBA. WNBA has been in business for 30 years, never turned a profit. If the dump turned into an abandoned landfill tomorrow, no one would even notice. The only leverage that WNBA players do have is sympathy, which is exactly what Vlad Zelenskyy has been relying on for the past 3 or 4 years. Sympathy. We all sympathize with Ukraine when they were invaded by Vlad Putin. No one wants war, except maybe Liz Cheney. Unfortunately for Liz, she has less influence than Liz Warren, the lady running around the country pretending to be related to Squanto. You know, Liz Warren, she's got the most Caucasian name in America. I mean, it doesn't get more Caucasian than having a name like Elizabeth Warren. Yet, for some reason, Liz wants us to believe that she descends from the Guardians. Anyway, no one wants war. No one wants to see innocent Ukrainians fleeing from their home country. No one wants to see innocent Ukrainian men having to defend their home country. We can all sympathize with that. But the thing about sympathy, and this is especially the case with sympathy money, it's always temporary. Just like I say all the time with the WNBA dump, you can rely on sympathy money for a while, but eventually time runs out and you're going to be expected to perform. It's the same thing with Vlad Zelenskyy in Ukraine. All he had to do yesterday was be appreciative. All he had to do yesterday was check his ego at the door, thank America for their support, and politely ask for an extension on our sympathy. But instead, his Lizzo-sized ego got in the way, and Volodymyr fucked it up. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about the potential retirement of Greg Popovich and what his legacy could be. I explained why Pop's legacy isn't exactly stainless and how he played an instrumental role in destroying the NBA. So if you haven't already, head over to the second channel and subscribe. All right, full transparency here. Uncle KC doesn't know a damn thing about Ukraine. There is a reason that I haven't talked about Ukraine, even though the war's been going on for 3 years now. I don't talk about things I know nothing about, especially when it's something serious like war. But I do know about optics. I know when someone is going into negotiations without leverage and how they should conduct themselves. If you are entering negotiations without leverage, do the exact opposite of what Vlad Zelenskyy did yesterday. Now, in his defense, I can somewhat understand why he thought he was going to be the alpha in the room. Over the last 3 years, he has been dealing with Johnny B. Biden. If it weren't for Adam Silver, Johnny B. Biden, he would be the weakest man in America. I'm sure Vlad was also used to dealing with cackling Cam Harris. Hey, pretend VP, it's me, Vlad Z. I need more money. Can you send me a few billion? Oh, sure, Vlad. I'll have my cackling choir deliver it along with some nice Christmas carols. Unfortunately for Volodymyr, he severely underestimated his opponent. He is no longer dealing with John Biden. He is dealing with the Orange Man. To make matters worse for Vlad, he is no longer dealing with a pretend vice president. He is dealing with JD Vance. Hey, Mike Spence, I hope you were taking notes yesterday. 4 years in the White House, and the only thing Mike Spence was capable of doing was getting the coffee. Every once in a while, the Trumper would let him pick a few roses from the garden. JD Vance, he is not willing to sit on the sidelines. JD Vance is ready to fight, and he showed up to that meeting yesterday with his verbal bazooka. Within minutes, JD Vance let Vlad Zelenskyy know that he was no longer in charge. Watch for yourself.
I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean. And don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this.
I'm not
you're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
Yeah,
you're playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
even
entire
today,
meeting, you said thank you.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
You know, the Trumper, he is going to speak his mind regardless, but you can tell he feeds off the energy of JD Vance. I'm sure Donnie appreciates the fact that he no longer has to do this alone. He doesn't have to worry about Mike Spence undermining him, doesn't have to worry about Mike Spence hiding under the table during negotiations. Hey there, Vlad, those are some lovely shoestrings. With JD Vance, Donald Trump knows that he's got someone who's got his back. This is exactly what America has been missing the last 4 years. Masculinity. They were not going to allow President Zelenskyy to come into their house and dictate the terms. They were not going to allow him to play the sympathy card. Hell, the Trumper even told him, you have no cards. The only cards you have are the cards that we are giving you. And right now, we are handing you a thank you card. If you're smart, you would write a nice message and sign it and hand it right back to us. Towards the end of the meeting, the Trumper politely reminded Vlad where the source of his strength was coming from. Vlad Zelenskyy, he has been praised by woke men and the women they are pretending to be because he displays his masculinity. He displays his toughness. I'm not afraid of Vlad Putin. I might only be 5'7", but I have the strength of a man who's 5'5". You know, it's easy to be the tough guy when you have Big Brother behind you. It's easy to be the tough guy on the playground when your high school brother has your back. But what happens when your older brother says, you're on your own? That is the reminder that the Trumper gave Vlad towards the end of the meeting yesterday. Watch it for yourself.
I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful.
The message could not be any clearer. Yesterday, the Trumper sent a clear reminder to Ukraine. You need us. We do not need you. We don't need your help to fight Vlad Putin. I promise you, the Putin, he does not want this gas. America is not reliant on Ukraine to solve our problems. You are relying on us to solve yours. And look. I don't think most people had a problem supporting Ukraine initially. The problem now is President Zelenskyy, he started taking advantage of that support. His level of arrogance yesterday was absolutely unbelievable. It was so bad, the Trumper literally kicked him out of the White House. He told Volodymyr, you have overstayed your welcome. Now, the good news for Vlad, he'll always be welcomed at CNN. Trumper kicked Caitlin Collins, Katie Woo! The Trumper removed the roof from the White House too. But instead of appearing on CNN, Zelenskyy decided to make an appearance on Fox News. It's not hard to figure out why. After that disastrous meeting, he needed to restore credibility with the American people. Kinda hard to do that on CNN because Americans aren't watching that dump of a network. After the meeting, he appeared with Bret Baier on Fox News, and Bret Baier, he asked him if he wanted to apologize for his arrogance, if he wanted to apologize for his behavior. Volodymyr refused to apologize. The reality is, he should have come into that meeting begging for America's support. He should have been thankful. He should have been appreciative. The last thing you needed to be was arrogant and demanding. Now, naturally, the mainstream media, they are demonizing the Trumper over this. I told you we were right. He is colluding with Russia. He's besties with Vlad Putin. The Orange Man is a bully. Zelenskyy didn't get bullied yesterday. He got hit in the face with the truth. This war has been going on for too long. America is tired of funding it. If Vlad Putin is willing to make a peace deal, then you're going to reciprocate. And if you don't, you're on your own. Big Brother is not coming to your rescue. You either take the deal or you fight. Choice is yours. Choice is yours, but we are done with this conflict. You can call it bullying, you can call it toxic masculinity. Rest of us, we call it reality. Give me your thoughts on this. JD Vance and the Trumper tag team Zelenskyy. Isn't JD Vance refreshing? A vice president who actually does something, a vice president who is willing to support the president and defend the country. I thought it was a masterclass yesterday. What about you? Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.